Welcome back to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, August 18th. Once a quarter, we get this gentleman in to talk about things going on at Herrick District Library. He is Ron Suzek. We can still say the new manager, the new executive director, whatever title, basically the operations man with Herrick District Library. He's on the other side of our table this morning. Ron, welcome back, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Can we call you Grand Potentate? No,
maybe not. Maybe not.
Major Poobah. I mean, anyway, if you have a question about what's going on at the library, Ron would be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450. We had Ron on earlier this spring as he assumed his new duties. Now that a couple of months have passed by, 3 months have passed by, feel comfortable now in the new surroundings, or are you still getting to know a few things, new things to know every day?
I think there are still new things to know every day, and I definitely feel after 3 months that I am beginning to get the hang of it. I've always said, you work in a public library, and before Holland, before Herrick, it was in Muskegon. Some of the basics stay the same, but obviously the people change, and that's kind of the dynamic that I find myself in right now, is just getting to understand really how the community utilizes the library. It's different than it was in Muskegon. But I lived here when I was at Hope in the 90s, and I got to tell you, it is a little bit of an odd experience to step back into it with like about a 30-year gap in between. Sometimes I wake up and I feel like I'm 19 again. Other times,
and then the bones tell you no, the joints tell you no, you're not 19 anymore.
That is very true.
You wanted to establish some things when you first came on board. I know 3 months, you can't do a whole lot yet. But are you getting a sense that some of the initiatives you'd like to see at Herrick can eventually become reality?
Oh, yes, definitely. I've always been a proponent of getting to know something before you start to think about changing it. I can say the community support that is behind Herrick District Library it's still overwhelming. So I think in some ways, almost anything is possible. We just finished our fiscal year, and I was looking at the numbers, the number of people who come into the building, the number of items we check out, and the engagement level is very, very high. We have a saturation rate, or the percentage of people who live in our service area who have a library card is well into the 60 percentile. That's really, really good. So you have to push yourself to look at what can we do even better? How can we even have more engagement? And I think that's where I am right now with regards to what I want to do next, is looking at how do we deliver service? How can that service delivery become more personalized? How can we get out into the community in ways that maybe we haven't in the past? And I do feel that there is a willingness, both whether it's the board, whether it's the staff, whether it's community in general, to look at doing some new things and finding new ways to serve our community.
It is one thing to have people with a library card. I'm going to speak as one. No, I do not have a Herrick District Library card. I have one where I live, which is GT, the place to be, Georgetown Township. But I don't use it that much.
Sure.
Do you have ways of tracking about how often a library card holder uses? Actually takes items, checks items out. So it's one thing to have, hey, we got 40% of the people with a library card, but only 10% of those 40% use it. That's, you know what I'm getting at.
I do. We have ways of being able to determine that 60 percentile and looking at what percentage of that are active card holders, meaning they've utilized their card probably in the last 12 months. And for Herrick, that number is still extraordinarily high. Where it gets a little bit fuzzy for us, we can tell that somebody has authenticated, meaning they've used a digital resource from our website, whether that is an ebook, whether that's a database. So that's engagement too. That's a different way to utilize the library. It's a little bit harder to get that granular data to understand exactly what they're utilizing from a digital standpoint. But we know that whether it's coming through the door and checking out books, which are still checking out at a really, really good rate, or it's that digital material that people are consuming at just this exorbitant rate, really.
Okay, the reason why, and I think you know what I'm getting at, why I was asking about how often the card holders are using the library's resources.
Sure.
It can be a decision, okay, we need to have maybe more books or more audio or more video because we're getting more of a demand of those resources than, say, some of the other resources.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And it's interesting for me to try to determine, is it people who use both? Is it the same audience who's using physical material and using digital material? Because that also helps to understand what the need looks like. My estimate is probably that it's a little bit of that, but there are probably very distinct populations of people who are much more traditional with regards to coming to the library, check out print material, and people who reside more on that digital end of the spectrum. And we can serve both. It's just, our funding, it's expensive to provide really stellar service, which I think Herrick District Library does in both the digital and physical format. But right now, we're not seeing any kind of use numbers that would indicate that we need to move, away from print more to digital. I think people are finding a balance. And I think part of our investigation, which is going to be part of our strategic plan, is trying to understand that community need to get that sense of how do people use the library.
A nuts and bolts type question or logistics type question, and this is more in line of the actual print, actual books. Decision making as to what books should we get? What novels should we get? Do we look at, the New York Times bestseller lists to see, do we need to get X copies of this book or 4 copies, 2 copies? What goes into the decision making as to what you stock?
Yeah.
Physically at the library?
That is an excellent question because Holland is really a community of readers. So you can't use a formula. It's a community that reads really widely. So we try to be connected, and that's one of the things that the staff does very, very well, is have those conversations with people who come into the library to understand what is it you're looking for. If we don't have it, why don't we have it? Should we get it? Of course, things that are on the New York Times bestsellers list, things in Publishers Weekly, things in Book List, we order almost all of that. But the publishing world is so diverse that we need those kinds of relationships and those conversations with users to better understand, hey, what is it you're looking at? Data tells you so much, but the face-to-face is also very instrumental to make sure that we are providing a level of service that meets everybody's needs. We look at one thing that people in Holland do very, very well is actually utilize material by placing it on hold. So you can go on our website, herrickdl.org, reserve a copy of a book if there's not one available for checkout, and we use those statistics to determine what does the need look like with regards to how many copies do we have to have. And it's it's a lot of work, but I think we have a pretty good metric, or we use numbers in a way that I think meets the need. When you look at the increases in circulation from last year, a 17% increase in digital and about a 5% in print, I'd say we're probably doing something right.
Another logistics type question. This is more maybe for your staff as much as for you. How alert are the staff about taking a look at books, especially ones who that's been in the shelves for a little while? Hey, we got to retire this book. It's shown a little wear and tear. Because with the volumes the library have, sometimes it's kind of tough to keep up with making sure you have good copies of books and not one that has gone through 2 world wars and a Middle East conflict.
Yeah, right? One thing that I always tell people is that if the library doesn't grow, the physical space is what it is, and we can only really fit so many items in the collections, both at North Branch and at Maine. And the purpose of a public library, my philosophy is that it provides, for the most part, the timeliest, the most popular, the most in-demand material in volumes that satisfy what the community's needs are. That means that you're constantly going through and removing stuff that is no longer popular.
Or worn.
Or worn out, of course. The worn out thing is easy. Something comes back and it's falling apart. It's an easy decision that this needs to go. But the stock rotation with regards to getting stuff that was popular, maybe 6 months, maybe a year ago, off shelves, so that we make room for the newest stuff being published. We have a philosophy of basically, if something hasn't moved in a year, it probably needs to go.
Let's get to the phone, 616-395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with the library manager, Ron Suzak.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a handicapped entrance, especially people with wheelchairs and walkers and canes like that. Hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. Handicap access, I would assume that's something that before you came on board that was, I would assume, addressed well by the library when they did renovation a few years ago.
Yeah, I would say that in terms of ADA compliance, we are very much probably ahead of the game, both at Maine, that just had the massive renovation, and also North Branch's renovation was a few years back. I think whether it's automatic doors, whether it's ramps, whether it's elevators, we do take into account that people maybe need an assistive device, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. I read someplace that all of us should expect at some point in our life to need an aid of some sort, either permanently or at some point. So I think we're there. We're a very busy library, particularly at Main Branch, and we have, I think, always parking's a premium. So we have handicap related spaces, and there's just a lot of people using that parking lot.
Thank you very much for the call, 616-395-1450. Maybe this is a question is a little unfair because you just started, relatively speaking, Ron Suzak, but do you get a sense that the library is going to get a little bit busier now that classes are back in session and kids are going to be wanting to use the library? Or is that something that was for maybe a past day, and now in this day and age, kids have other ways of getting the information they need. They don't have to hit the library so much.
I think our youth services department is always active, always looking for ways to engage with the younger crowd. Summer reading for us, which just concluded, is really, it's a big time production at Herrick. We had our end of summer celebration about 2 Fridays ago, and I think we had 500-600 people in that building. So we work really hard to make sure that there's not a backward slide during those summer months, to keep kids engaged, to keep kids reading. And then throughout the year, it does look a little bit different. Everybody is busy, and kids, of course, they're well scheduled. So we try to make sure we have innovative programming, things that are interesting, that relate not only to education, but also some fun stuff too, to keep that level of engagement pretty high. And I think that's one area that we do exceptionally well, is bringing kids into the library from birth, whether it's story time up through their teen years. I think there's something for everybody going on there.
Refresh my memory or correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I remember when we chatted our first conversation back earlier this spring, one of the things you wanted to see from develop when you came on board is bookmobiles.
Yes.
How are we doing on that possible initiative?
Yeah, so we are in the midst of a strategic plan, and that is going to be a tenet of that plan, is looking at how do we get out into the community, deliver service in areas where maybe we don't have that the saturation rate that we would love to see. Holland is very unique. I mean, we have a lot of high density housing, a lot of opportunities where people already are to bring the library. I suspect that this year will be significant in terms of seeing that that initiative move forward by spending some time looking at what could service look like, looking at best practices. There are a lot of libraries in the area, whether it's Grand Rapids, Kent District Library, Muskegon Area District Library, that utilize a bookmobile, looking to see what do they do well. How can we look at our own unique needs and try to find the service that is going to fit Holland?
All right. I'm going to maybe open up a big old can of worms. That's fine. I don't mind opening. I don't have my keys with me. Find a little opener here. I go to the website, which is herrickdl.com. .org.
Yes.
And I click on events, and they have a listing.
Sure.
By location.
Yes.
Herrick Main Library 55, North Branch 33. We don't have enough time to tell about the 55 events that are coming up.
We don't.
But that's one thing that I would think a good library is that it's going to be busy. It's more than just looking at books or magazines. Yes, there's a thing that used to be called magazines. People still buy them. Even a newspaper. Yes, they have newspapers there. But 55 events at the main library. No, don't go through all of them, Ron.
I won't go through all of them.
But what are some of the ones that we should keep an eye on over the next 3 weeks?
Next couple of 3 weeks. We are still... The formal summer reading program has concluded, but we still have a program scheduled to see out the rest of the summer. We have a Young Writer Celebration coming up on August 24th. It's a kids' writing challenge and a teen writing contest. We're doing a program on migrating monarchs also on the 24th, and you can learn how to help and foster monarch butterflies in your backyard. We have Games with Grandparents, which is an intergenerational program on August 25th. And then that leads into our fall programming initiative, which is called Surprise by Joy. And it is based on the friendship of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. And it's going to have a lot of adjacent programming that is pretty wide with regards to the audiences that it's intended for, but also just what it is we're hoping to accomplish. So some fun things in there. Looking at friendship in general, looking at the whole fantasy genre, and that's going to really be take us through fall and into the holiday season.
I'm going to throw this out because I know some out there, some of our listeners have issues with this, and that is I don't know how to handle a computer. I don't know how to handle a smartphone. I'm not tech savvy. Well, the library can help you out.
We can.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow from 2 to 4. Tech Help open hours.
Libraries have tried over probably the last 2 decades to try to find what is the best way to address that need. It used to be we have computer lab, people would come in, we try to do a class of 20 people, and you found that skill levels were really all over the place, and it was difficult to have a meaningful experience trying to teach based upon where people are at. So the way that we do it at Herrick now is it's more on a one-to-one. So we have some really generous, very patient staff who will work with an individual, give them their full attention, and help them to solve a problem, a technology-related problem, but also teach them a skill so that in the future they can do it themselves. And people appreciate that, and it seems that it's the more meaningful way to deliver that kind of service, which I think is pretty widely needed.
Yeah, so Tech Help open hours that's at the main library. That is tomorrow, the 19th, 2 to 4 p.m. From 2 to 3, if you have an Android smartphone, you can get some help along those lines. And then there'll be some more on Thursday as well from 2 to 4 p.m. So Tech Help is at the library, for the main library for you.
It's one of my favorite programs to observe. I'll come upstairs and I will see people engaged with Tech Help, with the staff that provides that service. And you can just see what it means for the folks who take advantage of the service.
One other thing I want to bring up, from time to time we get calls from our listeners. Do you have the phone number for the antenna man? And of course, I don't know if it's any new. Juke's box from 10 years ago. It's old now. I mean, the box is old, and maybe some of the numbers are old. I like this one. It's coming up next Tuesday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Design and build your own TV antenna. This program will provide an introduction to Yagi antennas, a common antenna used in many radio and TV applications. We'll show you how to use free software you can use to build your own TV antennas to receive free over-the-air signals.
That sounds like a groundwork makerspace program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DIY. And for those of you who are like Chris Allen, big Pistons fans, you're going to need your own TV antenna to watch the Pistons this year. It's on one of the sub-channels for Fox 17. And I don't know whether or not the cables are going to carry them. So maybe you're going to need to build your own TV antenna. That's part of it. This is, again, go to herrickdl.org, click on events, and you'll be able to find out not just what other things are going on, groups as well.
Yeah.
Reading groups.
We have a lot of book clubs both at Maine and also at North Branch, and they're well attended. And there's a lot of diversity with regards to what they're reading. So there is probably a book club for everybody in town.
Mm-hmm. Even those who are science fiction fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You too can be a no. Let's go on. But and then finally, one other thing. I look on the front page here of the website.
Sure.
Get live one-on-one help with your job search, college financial aid search, or your child's homework.
Yeah. So it's a program called Brain Fuse, and I think it's a little underutilized, and it surprises me because it is a really rich resource. It is, in essence, live tutoring. So it's a virtual session that you start with a human being on the other end, and that person helps you through your trigonometry homework. If you're working on a resume, they can help provide that resource as well. If you're working on applying for college, there's support for filling out the FAFSA. It's really endless what you can take advantage of. And it's not really all that common anymore when you jump online that you're actually interfacing with somebody, with a human being. And in this case, you are.
You're not interfacing with AI.
You're not. That's right.
And sometimes that's kind of good. More information, much more than what we can be able to pass on, herrickdl.org. That is herrickdl.org. Ron Suzek with the Herrick District Library. Thank you very much for joining us today. Wish you and everybody at the library well. Let's do this again later on this fall. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone.
We want to thank Holland School Superintendent Nick Cassidy and Ron Suzek of Herrick District Library for joining us today on Talk of the Town. Their segments have been or will be uploaded to our webpage at WHTC.com in the podcast tab under Talk of the Town. And that's where you can listen or download these segments for free at your convenience. We want to thank Brian Spencer, What's New Around Howland, and most importantly, thanks to all of you for listening and being a part of our program today. Tomorrow on WHTC's Talk of the Town, it'll be Clerk's Corner with Allegan County Clerk and Register of Deeds Bob Janetsky and Dr. Brian Long, the Director of Supply Management Research with the Seidman College of Business at Grand Valley State University. In a few moments, it will be Lindsay Lawrence's Evergreen Commons Report. For Brian Spencer, I'm Gary Stevens. Thanks for listening to Talk of the Town. Have a good day. We hope you can join us tomorrow.